Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. In this series we're talking about underwater photography with a compact camera and available light. No flash or strobe, keeping it simple. Now we've already talked about the importance of exposure and the exposure triangle. The other aspect to obtaining a good image other than exposure is obtaining a clear image. Your subject must be in focus. There's three aspects to focus. One is how to lock your focus on your subject. Two is how to avoid motion blur, and three is understanding depth of field. Now in this video I'm going to explain how to lock your focus onto the subject. So let's check it out. It's pretty simple. Basically, you need to tell your camera what to focus on. With most scenes in which you photograph a close object like a fish in front of a more distant background like coral, you almost always want the close subject, the fish, in focus. Therefore, you actually have to focus on the fish. Now this is easy if you set your compact camera up properly. Different brands have different names for the settings, but basically you set your camera to autofocus, and the focus area should be a single spot, not multiple areas, and the spot should be in the center of the frame. Here's a picture of my camera's LCD. I set up my camera so that when I press my shutter halfway down, the camera focuses on the subject in the center of the frame, in this case the little plastic turtle on my dining room table. This is an actual photo of the actual LCD of my compact camera, showing the little square changes color from white to green when focus has been achieved. Then I press the shutter all the way down and take the picture. Pretty simple. Here's the actual image. Got my turtle, the head is in tack sharp focus. Simple. However, a common problem occurs when my subject is not in the center of the frame. Here's an example. I wanted to show my dive buddy's camera in the background of this jawfish to give perspective for the size of the jawfish. Unfortunately, my camera focused in the center of the frame behind the jawfish, and the jawfish is very blurred. Not focusing on the subject is one of the main causes of blurred image, at least in my underwater photography with a compact camera. We have to tell the camera what part of the image we want to be sharp. Now here's another example. Same thing. I wanted the turtle in the foreground to be sharp, but I also wanted the turtle to be in the lower left part of the image so I could show the plant in the background. Here's an image of my camera's LCD. Unfortunately, my camera, set on single spot center focus, focused on the plant in the background, and here's the picture. It's not too good. My main subject, the turtle, is very blurred. However, there is a really simple solution to this problem. Locking the focus and then recomposing the image. And I'm sorry, if this is all familiar to you, you can move on to the next video. But I've made enough mistakes that I thought I would share this with you. Now, in addition to setting my camera to single spot center focus, I also have to make sure my camera is set up so that when I depress the shutter halfway to achieve focus and the focus is locked, I keep the shutter pressed halfway, which keeps the focus locked, and it enables me to move the camera slightly in order to recompose my image. So here is an example of my camera's LCD. I focused on the turtle, I got the green light, I kept my shutter half depressed, now the focus is locked. Now here's my next image of my camera's LCD. I just moved my camera ever so slightly to recompose the image, keeping the same distance from my subject, the turtle, and here's what the LCD looks like. Then I press the shutter after I recompose my image. I press the shutter all the way to get the picture. And here it is. Now I have my desired composition with the turtle off center and the plant in the background, but the turtle is tack sharp. Pretty cool, eh? Let me show you a couple more examples. This is exactly what I did here. Here's a shot. I locked my focus, center spot focus on the trunkfish. I depressed the shutter all the way. I got a clear image of the trunkfish. But it's right dead center in the frame, not exactly what I wanted to achieve. I wanted a beautiful close focus shot of my dive buddy in the background. So I focused on the trunkfish in the center, moved my camera slightly, keeping the focus locked by keeping the shutter half depressed, and then I kept the same distance from the trunkfish, but I moved my camera slightly. Now I got my dive buddy in the background. Now here my dive buddy is a little blurred, but that's okay. The main subject was not my dive buddy, it was the trunkfish. And it is tack sharp and still not dead center in the frame. I love this image. Here's another example of an image. I goofed up in this. I didn't lock my focus on the octopus in the foreground, and the octopus is blurred. I was focusing behind the octopus. Whereas in this image, I remembered to lock my focus onto the octopus, then I recomposed my image, moved my camera a little bit. Now I have a cool image where the octopus is off center and tack sharp, and I have my dive buddy in the background. So, by setting your camera to spot center focus, such that it also locks focus when the shutter is held halfway down, once focus is achieved, you can then recompose your image such that the subject is in any portion of the frame you want it to be. Then you get an image and the subject is still tack sharp. Now I hope you found this really simple but extremely useful technique helpful. I certainly have for my underwater photography. And thank you very much for your attention.